Welcome back to another Bali COVID-19 update. This is March 16th, 2022, and my name is Bruce. And you may be able to tell I'm losing my voice again. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it just goes on and on and on. What's the weather like today? It is really cloudy over the mountains, and it is going to rain soon. And let's take a look at the wind speed is 7.3 kilometers per hour. Temperature 32 degrees Celsius, and the humidity is 74%. Lots of things today and lots of things that I didn't cover. There is just so much stuff going on right now. Some of it related to visas and quarantines, but just a lot of it about getting life back together here. And well, that's the good thing. The PPKM has been extended for another week in Java and Bali. And there was a list of places, cities, regencies that are supposed to be released. And I went through 7 Indonesian language press sources today. 2 of them said a list will be released later today. 3 of them listed places, and all of Bali, according to those, is still at level 3. However, according to Karangasem, a report I read in the Indonesian language press for Bali, Karangasem said that they're at level 2 and they're opening schools 100%. And other sources says that 7 of the 9 regencies are yellow here and 2 orange. So as usual, nothing is clear about this. Are we at level 3? Are we at level 2? I don't know. Maybe there'll be some clarification later today. But the good news is that things are opening up when VOA is still going on in the new quarantine, and schools are back even if they're here in Buleleng. They're not at 100%. It's better than nothing. And the lead story today is about plans. Luhut announced that he had plans to extend the VOA and the no quarantine. Why am I talking about it? Because I usually wait until something fish comes out, because I know I saw this in 7 different sources today, stories about this in Indonesian language, and I know it is going to be out there on social media, and people are going to be asking me questions about it, so I'm just talking about it today. And so please note that these are plans. According to a report that I read this morning, Luhut said that they are looking at the data and making an evaluation this week, and will make a decision next week on if they're actually going to extend this to other parts of Indonesia. And so that's something to look forward to. So let's get on with the numbers, which are good. National new cases, 14,408. National recoveries, 27,615. National deaths, 308. So deaths are still too high. What about Bali new cases? Bali new cases, 109. So the other day we were below 100, and so we're hovering right around that 100 mark, just like Indonesia the other day. The whole country was below 10,000. Now it's above, and so you have to take a look at the averages, and which I don't have access to. I probably should just keep a record and do my own. Maybe I'll do that for next week. We'll see. And so recoveries in Bali, 183, and deaths in Bali, 2. So the low number of deaths is good news. So all in all, things are looking good on that front. Vaccinations are being pushed. We're doing it in the kampung today, so there's a segment on this down below. We're doing it in the kampung today. I really wanted to get my booster, but I'm sick, and since I had COVID, you're supposed to wait for 3 months, so I guess I'm not going to get the booster for quite a while. Okay, so let's go into the lead story. And here is the lead story for today. Indonesia to expand visa on arrival policy to boost foreign tourist visas. So the government is happy with the way the VOA is going so far. Now, this is a plan. It is not policy yet. Why am I talking about it if it's not policy yet? Because I know it's going to be all over the internet, and people are going to be talking about it and misconstruing it that it's already in operation. It is not in operation as of Tuesday at noon, but it is a plan according to Pak Luhut. And Pak Luhut mentioned this on Monday night at his online press conference. According to Pak Luhut, the application of the VOA in Bali since March 7th has pushed an increase in foreign tourist visits. There were 449 tourists visiting the island by applying for the VOA. He said the total non-tax state revenue amounts to 224 million rupiah. Okay, not too bad. So the plan is to implement the VOA at several other airports such as Jakarta and Surabaya. Additionally, there are plans to expand the number of countries eligible for VOA from 23 up to, well, number is not given yet. But they will be countries that have great tourism potential as well as G20 countries. So that's good news that VOA is expanded to Jakarta and Surabaya, people that are coming in there, because not every foreigner that comes into Bali to vacation wants to come into Bali, or not every foreigner that wants to come into Indonesia wants to come into just Bali. There are people who want to go to Jakarta, people who want to go to Surabaya and other places. And so that's good news. And adding more countries is going to help bring in more tourists. And lately we've been focused on visas and quarantines. What about the COVID numbers? Good news, COVID-19 daily figures declining, says Health Ministry. So the Health Ministry confirmed that the number of daily cases declined to 9,629 on Monday, and that figure is the lowest since January 28th. Good news. According to Ibu Siti Nadia Tarmizi, a spokesperson for the ministry, she said that the daily number of confirmed cases is returning to the levels of January, and this trend continues to be suppressed as soon as possible. Similarly, bed occupancy rates, BOR, keep declining day by day. This proves that the virus containment in Indonesia is heading to a better result. The national virus positivity rate has also improved and was recorded at 11.56% on Sunday, March 13th. So a number of cases are going down, but people getting tested, that is a problem. Expert alarmed at public disinterest towards COVID-19 testing. Yeah, people aren't interested in getting tested. The University of Indonesian epidemiologist Wayono said on Monday that Indonesia must increase its testing and tracing ability for COVID-19 despite the dropping number of cases. He urged the general public not to fear testing themselves, whether it be antigen or PCR swab test, as he argued people are showing signs of being apathetic towards the issue. Yeah, because people don't want to go into quarantine if they test positive. He also commented on the government's decision to revoke physical distancing measures in public transportation. I wasn't aware of that, which he believes is a decision taken hastily. He feared that this would increase the number of cases as health protocols are no longer strictly abided. And we know that mask wearing is starting to slow down as well. As the war in Ukraine continues and oil prices rise around the world, what is Indonesia doing? Indonesia still withholds fuel price hike, Jokowi, because price hikes in Indonesia are always very controversial. The president said all countries had increased the selling prices of fuel following the current strike in global crude oil prices. He said, however, the Indonesian government is trying to maintain the current selling prices. Indonesia is an importer of global crude oil, and it subsidizes selling oil prices every year. So throughout 2021, the energy subsidies reached 131.5 trillion, up from 2020, which was 110.5 trillion. From the figure of 131.5 trillion, the largest subsidy was for fuel and LPG. Meanwhile, energy subsidies this year, in the first month of this year, amounted to 10.2 trillion, or jumped 347.2% from January 2021. Wow, that's a lot. And President Jokowi has asked the Finance Minister, Sri Mulyani Indrawati, about the state budget's capability of withholding the fuel price hike. And if prices continue to rise, unfortunately, I think we're going to see a hike in the cost of fuel here in Indonesia, including LPG. And Pak Sandiaga Uno is in the news again, not for a good reason. Tourism Ministry's Instagram hacked. Sandiaga Uno talks of poor cyber defense. So the official Instagram account of the Tourism and Creative Economy Ministry was hacked by an unknown party. The tourism minister said that this incident proves the vulnerability of the cyber defense system in Indonesia. Pak Sandiaga said that the ministry is coordinated with a number of parties, including Instagram and Facebook, regarding the hacking. And he added, this is what I've said in the past year or so, that we really need to focus on three things in the digitalization sector. What are these three things? Well, cybersecurity, digital payments, and financial technology, fintech, or investment and financing through technology platforms. The minister said that solutions must be sought for the three issues, given that the cost in dealing with cyber hacking is pricey. And his Instagram account has more than 800,000 followers, and he said people are going to face difficulties getting information, the correct information, on latest policies, and less security is better. And so good luck with that, Mr. Minister. And what about the new capital? Jokowi's dream of a new capital city takes a step closer to reality. So the COVID-19 pandemic has thrown the country's biggest nation-building project since independence into disarray. But after a year of delays, the project was set in motion when the House of Representatives passed legislation in January that lays down the legal framework for the new administrative center. Last week, Pak Jokowi named Bambang Susantono, a civil engineer turned economist and specializing in transport infrastructure, as the head of the new capital city authority. He will be assisted by his new deputy, Doni Rahajo, the managing director, presidential office of Sinar Mas Land. And Sinar Mas is maybe best known for building the BSD city in Tangerang. And so these appointments are a step forward for the president's ambitious plan to relocate the capital from the thinking Jakarta to East Kalimantan. Both of them will have a tough challenge ahead, as the president is trying to complete the first stage of the plan by 2024, the same year that there will be elections at the end of Pak Jokowi's term as president. And so he wants to get the first stage done by then. Why? This is going to be part of his legacy to Indonesia. Pak Bambang said he aimed to build a city for all, emphasizing that the authority would not only focus on developing the physical infrastructure in Nusantara, and that's the name of the new city, Nusantara, but also the city's soul. Political analyst Adi Prayitno said that their appointments were a way to secure the project from unwanted political interest, because Pak Jokowi wants to imprint his legacy in a manner that no other Indonesian president has achieved before. Thoughts about moving the capital to another place go all the way back to President Sukarno, Indonesia's first president. In 1957, he was talking about moving the capital to central Kalimantan. Then during President Suharto's reign, he picked Jonggol in Johor, West Java as a potential site for a new capital, but nothing happened there. And President Yudhoyono also spoke of relocating the capital in October 2019. The project's meant to alleviate the excessive burden borne by Jakarta by shifting the headquarters of various government ministries and institutions, as well as diplomatic missions, to Nusantara. Jokowi plans to have the state palace and 4 ministries, foreign affairs, defense, home affairs, and finance, working out of the new capital by 2024, as he wants to celebrate Indonesia's 79th independence anniversary at his new office there. Okay. That it will be some festival. According to an economist from Bogor Agricultural University, having an Independence Day celebration there would at least serve as a symbol of the continuation of Jokowi's success stories, that he had initiated the new capital. However, he said, this is not the right time. He's among a group of academics and public figures, including the former rector of the State Islamic University and the former chairman of the Muhammadiyah, who are challenging the new law because they said it was taken too hastily. Pak Diden thinks that this is not the right time to relocate the capital, as Indonesia has a sizable level of debt and is not yet ready to return this deficit to the non-emergency setting of less than 3% of the gross domestic product. However, he said relocating the capital from Jakarta is inevitable, just not now. The other day I just briefly mentioned about hotels planning on raising their rates already. We've just got a few tourists coming in now, and hotels are already planning on jacking up the prices to normal prices. And so here's an article that addresses that. Bali stakeholders want low hotel rates. The Indonesian Hotel General Managers Association, IHGMA, in Bali is welcoming the recent changes in the government policy affecting international traveler that include the VOA and the elimination of quarantine requirements if you meet the restrictions. What is the IHGMA? Well, that's an association of Indonesian nationals serving as general managers of hotels in Bali. The counterpart to the IHGMA is the English-speaking Bali Hotels Association, and there's a link to that down below, comprised of general managers both local and foreign. According to the chairman of the IHGMA Bali, Agus Yoga Iswara, to maximize the benefits resulting from recent changes in the visa and quarantine rules, tourism leaders in Bali need to safeguard efforts to restore the recovery by not increasing the cost of accommodation at this time. He said, "We must work jointly to promote the destination of Bali in the most attractive way." Sure, if the prices get jumped up right away, people are going to go, wow. I can see wanting to get the prices back to normal, but let's wait until we get some tourists here before that happens. And the operating chairman of the Indonesian Housekeeper Association, IHKA, Nyoman Sugiyarta, said that he's also happy about the changes, and he said hopefully this is the revival of Bali tourism. We hope that all the tourism stakeholders in Bali will lead the implementations of COVID-19 health protocols, safeguarding the policies of the central government. And similarly, the chairman of the Indonesian Food and Beverage Association, IFBEC, Bali, Ikutut Dharmayasa, said the same thing, that he's happy about the changes and the tourists are coming back. And so aren't we all? What good news. And just as the weather is looking up. Here's an interesting article on drones. For those of you that are drone pilots, I am. And there are regulations in Indonesia, although they're not always the easiest to find. I have them somewhere on my computer here, and, well, I follow them as well. The headline for this story is a little misleading. Do not drone in Bali. Well, you can drone in Bali, you just have to follow the rules. So, the Airport Authority for Region 4 covering Bali and Lombok has warned that certain restrictions apply to the operation of pilotless drone aircrafts. Not that you can't fly them, but you have to fly them using the regs in place. Why are there these regulations? Well, the use of drone aircraft without permission and outside the established rules poses a threat to commercial flight operations, including passenger aircraft carrying hundreds of people. That's if you're flying in a flight path, and, well, we don't get that many planes up here occasionally, but I never take my drone that high anyway. According to the head of Region 4 of the Aircraft Authority, the operation of pilotless or drone aircraft poses a danger to pilotly planes carrying passengers. A fact needs to be socialized to their members and to the general public. He explained that the Ministry of Transportation has regulatory authority over drone aircraft operations in Indonesia, and that these emphasize the safety of flight operations. Special attention is placed by the ministry when drones are operated in airspace near airports, residential areas, and densely populated places. So, I live kind of in a densely populated place, a residential area. I'm careful with my drone. I keep a line of sight. Well, most of the time. I've gotten my drone out over 2 miles away, but right on the coast. And so in terms of residential areas, no, if the drone crashes, it's going right in the sea. So if you are a drone pilot, follow the rules and don't use your drone to spy on people in their private villas either. That was an issue before the pandemic started. Some people were using their drones to video people in their swimming pools, I guess, sans clothing. And as I said the other day, drones are forbidden to be used at the MotoGP circuit. And here's some more on the Bali Mandara Toll Road. Some good news. SOEs to build solar plant along Bali Mandara Toll Road. And so PT Bukit Asam and PT Jasa Marga will build a solar power plant along the Bali Mandara Toll Road to supplement Indonesia's G20 presidency in 2022 and the efforts to reduce global carbon emissions. According to the business director of Jasa Marga, the Bali Mandara Toll Road is one of the infrastructures that will support the 2022 G20 presidency, has grown increasingly environmentally friendly with the construction of the solar power plant to source the energy for operational needs of the toll road. He said, reducing global carbon emissions, which was one of the focuses of Indonesia's G20 presidency, is our concern and commitment. So the power plant will have a maximum capacity of 400 kilowatt peak, KWP, and the construction of the power plant will commence at Nuarai Toll Gate, which would be then continued to two other toll gates, Nusa Dua and Banoa. Solar panels will be installed at 6 locations, each at the entry and exit for the motorbikes, at 3 toll gates on the Bali Mandara Toll Road. The length of the solar panel at each of these locations is 1 kilometer. Wow, these are big ones. The electricity generated from the power plant will later be an environmentally friendly source of electricity for public street lighting, operational offices, and also toll gates on the Bali Mandara Toll Road. Throughout the construction process, Jasa Marga has maintained the safety and comfort of users of the Bali Mandara Toll Road, especially motorcyclists, by ensuring no disturbances in the lane and that they are operationally optimal according to the minimum service standard. This project is targeted for completion in July this year, 2022. So the other day I mentioned that the green open spaces, the RTH in Buleleng, have been opened again, and here's an article, RTH opens again. People are called to don't forget Prokes. Okay, that's health and safety protocols. Open green spaces open throughout Buleleng Regency, and the policy of opening the green spaces is due to a decrease in confirmed cases of COVID-19. The coordinator for data and information of the COVID-19 task force for Buleleng Regency, Ketut Swarmawan, said that people should enjoy the open spaces, but that they should follow the strict health protocol requirements, such as using the PL app at the park's entrance, washing their hands, taking body temperature, maintaining distance, and wearing masks. And I haven't been to any of the open green spaces yet, but my plan is to go to one on Sunday, and so we'll have something on that next week. So good news. Things are starting to get back to normal. My granddaughter is in school for, well, it's only a couple hours a day, but 5 days a week. It is better than nothing, as I said. And some bad news for people that borrow money in Bali and can't pay it back. Pandemic, dozens of customers in Tabanan failed to pay credit, houses auctioned. So as everybody that follows Bali knows, and as I've talked about many times over the past 2 years, the pandemic has affected people's economic welfare in Bali to a severe extent. The effect is that many housing loan customers have been unable to pay their installments, and eventually the house is auctioned off. Inevitably, requests for asset execution are directed towards the Tabanan District Court, and these have increased. So the bank is the creditor, and the bank conducts a guarantee auction process that's used by the debtor or the public as borrowers to obtain loan funds. And so the banks and other credit institutions are repossessing properties and then auctioning them off for the highest bidder. According to the clerk of the Tabanan District Court, during the pandemic, many requests for execution have been submitted to the Tabanan District Court. These execution requests are mostly money lending transactions at banks that cannot be paid by their customers. And he said many of these transactions happened before the pandemic, and that means it's been a long time. However, the execution process has been hampered by the pandemic. However, he also did not deny that some were due to default status. So the banks decided to conduct these house auctions. He said, banks don't want to know about it. That is the condition of payment difficulties. They don't care if you can't pay because of the pandemic or not. They want their money. He said, if I'm not mistaken, we've executed more than 20 houses. So at least 20 people have lost their homes because they've been unable to repay their loans. Yeah, that is really sad. And people didn't plan on this. People that did this before the pandemic, they weren't planning on the pandemic, thought they could pay their loans off, and then they got hit. Maybe they were dependent on the tourism sector. not clear. But it's a sad thing. And just as a side note on this story, many of the winners of auction houses in Tabanan are outsiders of Bali. So the article says that people are outside of Bali. It doesn't say where they're from, though, outside of Bali. It doesn't say who they are or how many they are. And here's something interesting. He said that there are many cases where parents do not know about the certificate of ownership rights being transferred by their children. He said, suddenly we executed land or house assets the children's parents did not know. And that's happening a lot in Tabanan today. And some people are mistaken in thinking that the vaccination requirements here are going to be lifted. They're not. The government is pushing to get people fully vaccinated, and that includes the booster. And what about here in Buleleng? Task force asked to deploy all health workers in Buleleng. So the Buleleng COVID-19 handling task force has asked all health workers to be deployed so that the realization of booster vaccine continues to increase. And why? Because Buleleng is at the bottom of the regencies in terms of booster vaccinations. Referring to data from the Bali provincial government, currently there are only 2 districts that have not reached the 30% rate in terms of booster vaccination. Remember, that's what the governor said when they got the VOA and the get rid of the quarantine in certain cases, said we're going to have at least 30% boosters. Well, there's 2 places that haven't in Bali, and I'm in one of them. First one, Jembrana, has 23.22%, and Buleleng is at the bottom with 16.41%. So this low number has caused the COVID-19 handling task force here to reconsider and change their strategy. So now the task force has instructed all health workers to be deployed so that the number of vaccination posts can be increased. And so they're out in all the villages, and there's information listed on social media every day. Starting this week, all health workers at the Puskesmasas will be deployed as vaccination teams. Only health workers in Puskesmas will be on emergency standby only. The secretary of the Buleleng COVID-19 task force, Gede Suyasa, said that we hope people will understand because we will deploy others to villages to vaccinate. So it means if you go to a Puskesmas, you're not going to find really anybody there. Suyasa said that his party had been conducting a study regarding this matter. According to him, the current level of visits to polyclinics at the Puskesmas is relatively low, so that existing resources will be deployed as vaccination personnel. So people are not going to the Puskesmas to get the booster shots, and so they're going to take the booster shots to the people. He said, we hope that 15 to 20,000 people per day will receive the vaccination when the health workers are out in the villages and kampungs. Suyasa added that the task force has set a higher target than 30%. They want to get to 50% so that the level of public trust, especially for foreign tourists, is higher. He said this is closely related to the level of international confidence in the handling of COVID-19. If the level of trust is high, foreign tourists will automatically come to visit so that our economy recovers. Okay, automatically comes. Time for an update and a wrap-up. In the update, Jetstar lands in Bali for first time since 2020 with 300 passengers, and thank you for the comments letting me know about that. And so that is good news. Jetstar says that they are planning on making regular flights now, and so that should be great news for all the Australians that want to come back. And I just saw a story in, I think, a UK magazine today about partying going Australians coming back to Bali. Okay, maybe I'll do a report on that on Sunday. So no other real updates today. There are just so many stories, I'm not even going to talk about them. I'll carry them over to Sunday. So the wrap up is the number of new cases. Good news on the number of new cases. The number of deaths still a problem nationally, a little better in Bali. Are we at level 2 or level 3? I don't know. There'll be some clarification that comes out. Maybe, maybe not. But we definitely want to get to level 2. That's it before I lose my voice. Let's wrap this thing up. So if you found this video helpful, entertaining, informative, amusing, non-irritating, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. New videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and the cooking videos will be back on Sunday. Sue was cooking up chicken curry, which was so good, and I should have filmed us eating it because, wow, the family went on it like they hadn't eaten in ages. The rendang video is we're going to have to do it again because it wasn't very happy. It was purely functional. I didn't get any joy out of watching it because both of us were sick and we were just trying to get through it. And so we're going to do the rendang thing again. So thanks for viewing. Stay safe. Be kind to someone today. And I will see you on Sunday.